Hi everyone. Today we're going to create this cute little bear using the online vector editor at vector.com. You'll find the link attached. So to start off, we're going to create a new artwork. So just click the new artwork button. You can leave this at 640 by 640, or if you like, you can change this to 800 by 800. And click Create. And that's going to start us with this blank square canvas. So the first thing that we're going to do is create a couple of circles. So using this shape button over here, we're going to select the circle and we're going to click and drag out a circle. Okay, so select circle, click and drag out. We're going to get this circle here. And we're going to change some parameters right away. So we're going to change the color and we're going to make sure there's no outline here. So you can close this up if you like. And over on the right side, you will see color and border. So make sure that color is checked off here. And next to the color, you will see a circle that indicates the current color. So if we click on that, we can select in a color of our choice, and you can slide this along to get different color options, and within that we can get various shades of that color. So I'm going to go with a light blue. So select the color you would like your bear to be, and then just to clear this, you can click this empty space down here. Okay, so we have our starting color and we have our starting shape. We're going to make sure that we do not have a border selected. You can see that the border will create this outline that we can control as well. So we want to uncheck that. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we're going to right click on this and we're going to choose copy. Okay. And once we've copied that, we are going to right click again and we're going to choose paste. And that's going to create another blue circle nearly on top of the first one. So we're going to put that over here and we're going to scale it down. We're going to use this to create the ears of our bear. Okay, so get that in position. Once we have that the size that we want it to be, right click it again, copy, and paste. And we've created a second circle of the same size. And we'll put that in as our second ear. Okay, so these are our three original parts. Okay, and now we're going to use these as a guide. So I'm going to choose one of these ears, and I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to choose copy again. But this time I'm going to do something a little different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose, instead of paste, I'm going to choose paste in place. And what that's going to do is create a copy of that ear and put it exactly on top of the first one. Okay, so I'm going to choose paste in place. Now you can't see it, but there's another blue circle right on top of the first. So let's change the color of this one to slightly darker. Okay, and what we want to do is we want to resize this at the center of the first one. So we don't want it to move, we actually want it to just shrink. And we do that by resizing it, but with the ALT or Alt button held down. So find the ALT button on your keyboard and hold that down while you slide this in. And you'll see that instead of resizing towards one side or the other, it stays in its position, but it gets smaller or larger. Okay? So I'll show you the difference. If I don't hold the Alt, it's changing its position. But if I hold the Alt button while I do this, it's going to stay right in its place. So we'll create this copy. So now we have this ear that's perfectly centered on the outer ear, the inner ear. All right, our next step, we are going to come back to the head here. We're going to right click it and we're going to copy it. And we're going to paste in place again. Paste in place. So that created another blue circle. I'll change the color of it just so you can see. And what I want to do is I want to take this circle and I want to raise it to the top. So if you see when I select this circle, you'll see a flip horizontal, a flip vertical, send to back, send to front. So what I want to do is I want to click send to front and keep clicking it until it comes right to the front. Okay, so this yellow circle is now in the exact position of the blue circle, but it's in the front. Okay, next we want to hold the shift button. So find the shift button on your keyboard. Hold the shift button and select the inner ear. Okay, so I have these two things selected, the yellow circle and the inner ear only, just these two. And now we'll have a different bar appears at the top. So we have that same flip horizontal and vertical, send to back and front, but we have this whole new bar here. So what we're going to do is something called subtract. And what subtract does is it takes the top shape and it uses it to cut the bottom shape. So what's going to happen is this yellow circle is going to cut this dark blue circle. So when we click subtract, we get this. And you see now this is a crescent instead of a circle. Okay? So this is cut. So we want to copy it and paste it. So we made this copy. And we're going to flip it using that little flip control here. We want to flip it horizontal. And that should give us this inner ear here. You can use your keyboard to get that in position if you need to. We want to get that right in the center there. So I'm just using the arrow keys to move that around a little bit. Just make sure that, you know, it's pretty close to center. If it's not exactly the center, it's not going to be the end of the world. It may be that our ears are in slightly different positions. There we go. So we've got our inner ear cut. Now what we want to do is we want to take all of these light blue circles and we want to join them together. Not the dark blue ones, just the light ones. So again, I'm going to hold shift and I'm going to select the outer ear. I'm going to hold shift. I'm going to select the other outer ear and the face. Okay, not these dark ones. And I'm going to use another path effect here. So we used subtract the last time to cut those dark blue circles. This time we're going to use add or unite. And what's going to happen is all of those light blue circles are going to join into one. Okay? There it is. So you can see what happened. So we have all of these joined into one. Okay, our next step is we're going to create a background shadow from this blue shape. So over here where we have color, you'll see that color is selected. We want border not selected, but this time we're going to select shadow. Okay, so if I check that off, we get this dark shadow here. So the settings I'm going to use to make this shadow, I'm going to set these settings at 1, 1, and 10. Now you can type that in or you can just click the buttons until we get there. And you're going to get this nice soft shadow here. Okay? So there's our head almost done. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put a little highlight on here, like a as if the light is shining on it. Okay, so we're going to create another circle. So click our circle here and drag out a circle. Okay. This time I'm going to make an oval instead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze this thing. So I'm going to grab the side of it and I'm going to squeeze it into this oval shape. Okay? Something like that. And then I'm going to change its color over here to white. Okay? I'm going to click it again. And what I want to do is I want to rotate this thing. So I could rotate it down here. You see this rotation here? Look, we've got this rotation button down here. Or I can hover over the edge, and what you'll see is that when I get out far enough, it changes into that circle, the black circle with an arrow on it. And that will let me rotate also. So you can use your choice. You can rotate it down here in the bottom corner using the buttons, but we want to rotate it roughly 45 degrees. Okay, something like this. And we're going to move it up towards the top of our head here. Okay, somewhere around there. So this is where the light would be hitting our shiny bloom bear here. Now I want to create a kind of blur here. So I want to soften this up a little bit. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to use something called a radial gradient. So over here under color, normally we've been using solid colors. So it says color here. But if you click this, you have three choices. You have a linear gradient and a radial gradient. So the choice we're going to use is radial gradient. It's going to look pretty weird when we do it. So what happens is we get a fade from white to black. And we're going to adjust the color of that fade, okay? So we click on the color here. You can see it's white to black. And these three dots up here. So I'm going to click the center dot. And I'm going to set that as white. And the opacity at 100%. I'm going to click my middle dot here. And I'm going to set that one as white. And I'm going to turn this opacity down to half, roughly 50%. I'm going to hit my outer circle. I'm going to change that one to white. And I'm going to set the opacity of this one to 0. Now before you quit this, I want you to just click back to the center again. Okay, just click the center circle. And now to clear this and get out of this menu, we can just click this empty space here, okay? And that should give us something like that. Now don't worry if this messed up, you can do the whole thing again. So we can just switch to radial gradient. We can click here. We can go through and set each of our colors. And you can just do it all over again if it doesn't quite work. It is pretty finicky. So there's our little white highlight. So this is all we're going to do on the head right now. So the second thing we're going to do is the body. So let's take our circle tool again. And we have a circle here, but it's white, okay? So I'm just going to change that color. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to match that color to the head. And to do that, we have an easy way. Right here, when I click on the color, I get down here by opacity this eyedropper tool right here. So if we click that, and then we click on the face, we can match that color, okay? And then just click over here to clear. And now let's set the size of our body. Okay. And I'm also going to add a shadow here, just like I did with the head. So over on the right side, I'm going to check off shadow. And again, I'm going to set it to 1, 1, 10. 1, 1, 10. Okay, just like our head. All right, one more thing. I want this same shine down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this. I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to paste it. I'm just going to grab that and pull it down. But you'll see that it is underneath of my body. So when I get it in place, just click this little send to the front button a few times until it shows up on top here. Okay, so that is our little shine here. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to group this body. And we're going to do that just to make things a little easier. So I'm going to click on this white piece, and I'm going to hold the shift button again, and I'm going to click on this blue piece. So these two things are selected. Okay, so it's click one, hold shift, click the other. And then right click your right mouse button, and we're going to choose group here, or Control G, group. Now this thing is going to act as one. So I'm going to use this to make the feet of my bear as well. So now we can right click on that group and choose copy and paste. And we get another copy. I'm going to shrink this down to be my foot size. And then I'm going to copy it again, and I'm going to paste it to make the second one. I'm going to paste it again to make the third one. I'm going to paste it again to make the fourth one. And there's our feet. Now the one thing I do need to do is I need to go back to this body and lower it down underneath of the face, okay? So just click on the body and you'll see this menu appear. We're going to send to the back. So I'm going to click that and click it until this thing goes underneath of the face. All right? So we're getting there. We're almost done. So the last thing we need to do is our bear's face. So the face, again, we're going to use the circle tool. So I'm going to create a circle here. Now my circle is the exact same color as my bear. So again, I'm going to change the color. I'm going to use my eyedropper tool again. And I'm going to choose this color right here that I used on my ears. Okay? And now click over here to clear. So this is the outline of my eye. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste in place. So we're only going to make one eye and then we're going to group it and we're going to duplicate it. So we're only going to do this once. We're going to paste in place. I'm going to change the color of my eye to black. Okay. And then I'm going to hold the Alt button again, the ALT button, and resize. And what will happen again with that Alt button held down is this thing is going to change size right in the center. So I'm going to bring that in a little bit. So I get this dark blue out, or this dark blue outline and this black inside. Okay, I'm going to add another circle. Okay, this circle, I'm going to squish it a little bit. And I'm going to make it white. Okay. Now this one, again, just like over here, I'm going to rotate this to 45 degrees. Okay, this is going to be like a little highlight in the eye. So again, you can use the rotation button down here, or you can hover over the edge until you get that little rotation handle. But we're going to put this thing at 45 degrees, move it towards the top of our eye. Something like that. Okay, let's make another circle. This one, we're going to leave it as a circle, and we're just going to put it in here as a second highlight. We're going to end up with something like that, okay? An oval and a circle. So now let's group this entire eye. So we're going to work a little closer this time. So what I want you to do is, if you want to zoom in, if I use my mouse wheel, what's going to happen is this is going to go up and down. But if I hold the control button while I use the mouse wheel, that is the CTRL button, control, and I hold that while I turn my mouse wheel, it's going to zoom in and out. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in a little closer so that I can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to click on my eye here, and I'm going to just click each part of this eye. So I'm going to click one, hold the Shift button, click the second, click the third, click the fourth, until we have all of the eye parts selected. And then I'm going to right-click and group that. Okay, right-click and group. Now my eye is one single unit. So once I have done that, I'm going to copy and paste this group to get my second eye. There we go, 2 eyes. So you can pause the video anytime when you need to slow this down. But I'm just going to keep moving along. So my next step involves another circle. So this will be the muzzle of our bear. So I'm going to squish it a little bit to make it an oval. Okay. So here's my bear's nose. And the next thing I'm going to do is put a second circle here. This one's going to be black. And I'm going to squish this one in the opposite direction. I'm going to squish it upwards. And that is going to be my bear's nose, okay? So something like this. Now the next step is a little bit tricky, okay? So for the next step, what we're going to use is this pen tool, okay? It's letter V on your keyboard. The pen tool, not the pencil, the pen. Okay, and the pen tool will let us create shapes just by clicking. If we come back we get a shape of our own choosing. Okay, so I could put as many different points on that. As long as I close it up, we're going to get this solid shape. Okay, so I'm going to use this tool. I'm just deleting these. I'm going to use this tool to create his mouth. Okay, so it's going to start pretty simple. I'm going to use the pen tool and I'm going to create a triangle. So I'm going to go to the bottom of the nose and out to the side, and then over here to this side and back to start. And I'm going to get this triangle. Okay. Now the great thing about the pen tool is that we can bend this and we can shape this into any shape that we want. So to actually change this shape, what we're going to do is double click it. So when I double click it, what you'll see is that I get these these 3 squares. So these 3 squares, if we click on one and drag it around, we can change its position. Okay, so I can fine tune this a little bit. But also what I can do is I can curve these lines. I can add new points. I can change this shape. So wherever I go along this line, you'll see that a little square follows me. So if I want to pull this down, all I need to do is come to the center of this line, click and drag it down. Okay, that looks a bit like a bird's beak, I know. But this is just the start. So I click and drag this down to create this new piece. Okay, let me show you that again. You just come to the center, click, drag it down to the bottom. All right, so this isn't quite the shape that I want. So what I want here is a curve. So to create a curve is very easy. If I double click on any of these squares, what will happen is that this will change from a corner to a curve. So watch this. Double click, it's a curve. Double click, it's a corner. 2 clicks, curve, 2 clicks, corner. So what I want to do is I want to 2 click this, and then these 2 handles appear. And these handles let us kind of bend this line. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to widen that a little bit. Okay. The next thing I want to do is I want to curve this line. So again, I'm going to click in the middle, I'm going to drag it down, and then I'm going to double click it. I'll click in the middle, drag it down, double click. And then if you want, you can adjust these points to your liking. You can change this a little if you want. You could make it deeper. Whatever works for you. Follow your heart on this one, okay? So there we go. So now we have our shape. So to get out of editing, just select something else. Just click over here and you'll get out of editing. So double click for editing, click something else, you're out of editing. So I'm going to go out of editing. I'm going to come back to the mouth here and I'm going to fill it with a color. Okay, so over here under fills, right now, color is not checked off. So I'm going to check off color and I'm going to set my color to like a dark red. And then I'm going to uncheck the border. Nothing in my picture has border, so I'm going to get rid of that border. Okay, so there's our mouth shape. One more step and we'll be done this. So I'm also going to put like a tongue in here. So to do that, I'm going to take my circle tool again. I'm going to draw a circle that is larger than my mouth here, okay? So I'm going to stretch it out. So it's not going to cover the top of my mouth. It's only going to cover the bottom part of my mouth. Okay, so this tongue is going to be inside the mouth. And I'm going to set my color here to a lighter red, like a pinkish color. Okay, so I've covered the area that I want to create the tongue. So my next step is I'm going to go back to the mouth here and I'm going to duplicate it. Copy, and then paste in place. So again, I want it to stay in exactly the right spot. So I'm going to click paste in place, and then I'm going to raise that to the top. So there's another one there. Look, there's a second one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it to the top. So I'm just going to click send to the front. Okay, now this is on top. I'm going to hold shift and I'm going to select my two items here. So I have the mouse selected and the circle. And so we've done add, we've done subtract. This time we're going to do intersect. And what intersect will do is it will cut away everything except for this overlapping area. So only where the two shapes cover each other, that will be saved. Everything else will disappear. So we're going to do intersect. Okay, we can't see it right now, but if we change this color to a lighter pink, there we go. We created this piece that fits just perfectly into this mouth shape. All right? So that about does it. I'm just going to hold Control and zoom back out again. Okay. I'm going to drag a big box around this entire shape, and I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to group it. There's my bear. I'll just expand him out a little bit. So one more step. What we're going to do now is we're going to save this vector image as a picture file, as a PNG. So over here on your right, what you'll see is there is an export button here. So we click the export button, this arrow pointing up. Okay. And where it says SVG, SVG is a vector file. But what we're going to do is we're going to download a picture of this. So I'm going to change that SVG to PNG. Okay, a PNG will give me a picture of this with a transparent background. Okay, and now for size, we can set this to anything we want, really. 800 is fine. If you're still working at 600, I suggest you want to do this at least 800. Okay, and once you select that size and we select PNG, you're just going to click download. And when we click download, this is going to automatically go down to our downloads folder. So you'll find that in your downloads folder. And we're done. So this website does autosave, vector.com. So when you're finished, you can just click the home button and you'll see that our new little bear is right there. Thank you very much for watching.